everyone, I'm here today to do the thrilling thriller book tag. I went through a phase of being really off book tags, and so I stopped watching them even when I've been tagged in them. I stopped filming them way before even that point, and more recently I've started watching them again and I'm like, oh, I've missed out so much. So I started going through all the tags that I've been tagged in throughout the last couple of years that I didn't get around to doing. And I thought I'd start with this one. So this was created a couple of years back now by Nicole over at A Beautiful Chaos of Books. She's actually stopped making booktube videos, but maybe she'll come back one day. So I'll leave her channel linked in the description down below. She is still active on Instagram, so I'll also leave her Instagram linked down below, so go check her out. And I really enjoy a good thriller, so I thought this would be a great tag to get back into tags with. So question 1. What was the last thriller you bought? Now I want to note throughout this video, I prepared my answers for this a couple of weeks back, and I've bought books since a couple of weeks back and I've not re-prepped my answers, so never mind. This was accurate at the time of planning. So the last thriller I bought was Shiver by Allie Reynolds. This is about 5 friends meeting for a reunion in an isolated mountain lodge. It's been 10 years since they last met due to a disappearance of someone called Saskia, and it's basically a reunion icebreaker game turning menacing. I feel like this will be quite a fun one. Hopefully I get round to it at some sort of reasonable speed. Question 2, show us the thriller you most recently added to your TBR. And this is what I mean by prepped a few weeks ago. So the thriller I had added most recently to my TBR is Things to Do Before the End of the World by Emily Barr. I've recently read that book, shocking I know, and reviewed it, so I'll leave that linked in the cards and the description down below if you want to check it out, because I have a very love-hate relationship while reading that book. But it is a thriller. I'm just not sure that you should pick it up if you're looking for just a thriller. It's several other things, and if you're interested, I will, as I said, leave it linked. It's basically a book that follows a teenage girl who's just found out the world's going to end in less than a year's time, and it's about all the things that she wants to do before the world ends. But the thriller aspect isn't what you'd think. Number 3, what thriller did you have high expectations for but ultimately let you down? This was such a no-brainer for me. Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. That book was such a disappointment. I think I'd hyped it up too much in my head because it's not the most terrible thriller I've ever read in my entire life. Not by a long shot. It's okay. It's not bad. It's probably even decent. But it wasn't half as good as I expected, and it was just a bitter disappointment for me. Question 4. What tropes do you love and hate in thriller books? I wouldn't say that I feel strongly about tropes in any genre yet, because I read across so many genres so much. I'm not bored or overly in love with any, because I don't come across the same ones over and over to develop that. But I have got a couple noted down all the same. So I love unreliable narrators. I just think that that's such a fun plot device used and can be done in so many different ways, so it will never get boring. I also love mysterious, strange, creepy, spooky houses. I hate very obvious husband best friend betrayals. I feel like that's in every other domestic thriller at this point, and it's just like snooze fest. Number 5, recommend an underrated thriller. This was challenging for me because I've read so many underrated thrillers, but I've picked one specifically, and it's one that I read last year, and that is Safe by S.K. Barnett. I have reviewed this book on my channel, so I'll leave a link to that in the cards and the description down below, and it blew me away. So it's about a family that loses their daughter when she goes to play at a friend's house who literally lives like a couple of houses down. She was walking to the friend's house and disappears. Then at the beginning of this book, she has reappeared and she has no memory of what has happened to her. She's literally just all of a sudden stumbled back into the town that she was stolen from. And the story picks up from there. Things are not necessarily as they seem, and you go on twist after twist. And I really enjoyed it. So number 6, I love the creativity of this question. I'd love to see more tags that have something like this. So if you know of any tags that have something like this, please let me know of them and I will do them. So you need to pick 3 thrillers from your shelves, 2 that you've read and one that you haven't, and get viewers to guess which one you haven't read. Now, most of my thrillers I own on Kindle. I like to try and get them for as cheap as possible because they do tend to be a one read thing. So I'm scared to put up pictures of each one, so you won't get any clues as to how battered or not the books look. And indeed, you probably need to have been watching several of my other thriller related videos over the years to have any sort of clue, or unless you're just going to get a lucky guess anyway. So the first book I have got down is The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena, Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, and The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. Tell me in the comments down below which of these have I not read, and I'll be interested to see what you all comment actually. I think this is such a fun idea, as I said, and I love knowing the answer and wondering how many of you will get that right. So number 7, people are often intimidated by the thriller genre. Recommend a thriller for beginners. I don't feel the most qualified to recommend because I read, as I said earlier, across genres so much. I don't feel like I've read very many thrillers at all compared to a lot of booktubers. All the same, I've noted down a few different directions you could go for this if you do find thrillers intimidating. So my first recommendation is to just go for something that's genuinely really popular that loads of people tend to love. So The Guest List by Lucy Foley seems like a great choice. I've not read that one, so I can't say. I also recommend, if you are looking for more of a domestic thriller kind of direction, or something that's not heavily thriller and it's just there, then you could go in a Liane Moriarty direction. The first one of hers I read was The Husband's Secret. I would also highly recommend 9 Perfect Strangers. Meanwhile, if you want something that's a bit more gruesome, a bit more thrillery, and just generally a bit darker, I actually really recommend you could read You by Caroline Kepnes, because it's still really accessible, but it's just a lot darker and it's a lot different to a lot of other thrillers that are out there because of the second person perspective. So that would be my other call. And then question 8, your favourite thriller of all time. My favourite thriller of all time is one I could also recommend for the last question actually, and that is The Breakdown by B.A. Paris. Oh my god, I just love this book so much, so much. I love B.A. Paris's writing anyway, but this one was just one of the first thrillers I ever read, for starters, so will always have a soft spot in my heart. But secondly, I just found it so gripping and so addictive, and I feel like it's genuinely the first book that made me that hooked and desperate to keep reading. So yeah, I've got really fond memories of reading that, and I'm scared to ever reread it for that reason too. Again, I do have a review for this book, so if I've not run out of cards, that'll be in the cards and also the description down below, so you can check my review of that out if you want to. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this tag. I'm not going to tag anyone because this tag has been around for so long. I'm very out the loop. I feel like I've saved it a bit by finally doing it now at least. And as I said, it's just such an interesting tag to do. So if you do it, please let me know in the comments down below. I will happily watch your answers to this too. And yeah, I just love sharing the thriller love on BookTube, because over the years, thrillers have become more popular on here. But it's still not loved to the extent that like fantasy or YA or literary fiction. So yeah, bringing the love to the thrillers. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book views and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!